Following his New Japan Pro Wrestling departure, Jeff Cobb has teased his retirement ahead his reported move to WWE. Jeff Cobb says 16 years is a long time to work. Happy retirement to me. I'll let the waves take me to my next destination. Can I wade in your water until I catch your wave? Yeah, I think he's going to WWE main roster. So you got to think about it, right? They made these releases and they're bringing in Jeff Cobb, Malachi Black. They're bringing him back. Hit the road, Black. And don't you come back no more, no more. Right? But he came back. Who else? Rusev. So these are the people, right, that they're bringing in. And this is what we wanted. We're like, we want Rusev. And again, we're going to talk a little bit about how the fans as well. A lot of wrestlers people don't really give a shit about. So I kind of like the energy that chat's coming with, where you guys are being honest. You're being like, I don't give a shit. Some of you guys, whatever. And if you do care about some of them, that's fine too. If you care about all of them, that's fine. But a lot of people are so devastated who don't really support in loud enough. That support isn't as loud. And so Jeff Cobb's coming in more than likely. The waves are going to take him where they go. SummerSlam. Hey-o. Right? Might wash up on shore that day. But shout him out. I'm excited for it. And he teases retirement because that's what you do, And so I also talked about, I almost forgot to mention this. So I also talked about last show. We read this whole Reddit post. It was the last show or the show before, but or maybe a few shows back. I do so goddamn many shows now. But TJP wrote this huge Reddit thing and pretty much buried Jeff Cobb, even though he's like, we are friends, but he just laid it all out, like pretty much buried Jeff. People went in the comments and on Reddit and on Twitter. I saw afterwards and people were like, TJP's full of shit. Seems to be like the common sentiment there. So who knows? Maybe they just didn't get along. And that's a shame, I guess, but we'll see him in WWE. So here's Hulk Hogan, brother. Real American freestyle. Here's him and Eric Bischoff on Fox and Friends, I believe, talking about he's launching this new league to professionalize freestyle wrestling. And he's got the NWO beard and stuff. It's funny.
We're going to go to all the major venues. Our first one is August 30th in Cleveland. But the main thing is, like, because Eric's so darn important to this venture, he knows how to deliver, produce, and make the fans care about these athletes. Like when Eric was explaining it to me, he goes, it's like The Voice. You shoot the backstory, he broke his leg when he was younger, his family fell apart, or he got
right
rewards, for wrestling growing up. But once we find out what the backstory is, and these guys come through the tunnel, you already care about the athletes. Plus, I was worried when I first hooked up with Izzy, because of the charisma and the business I did. We like to entertain people too.
That's right.
I was worried about these young guys being like flat white bread, and once I got around them, they all got that Conor McGregor swagger. They've been watching TV, they've been watching promos, they know about branding, they understand the opportunity.
I mean, everyone can be mad at this or whatever. I don't know what the reaction to this is. I love that they're injecting life into amateur wrestling, I loved it when people like Eddie Bravo, he started the Eddie Bravo Invitational, and it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's a tournament, but it's open hand strikes. Like you can open hand slap people to advance position and stuff like that. And it's amazing. It's just injected new life. And some of these freak show fights, I'm not calling anyone a freak or anything, but just this, they did like Gabby Garcia, who's like this giant woman. She wrestled, I believe, or grappled Craig Jones, like in the pit, I believe it was Craig Jones. And yeah, so just injecting life into like martial arts and like grappling and amateur wrestling, because all this is going to do is find people who can cut promos who are amateur wrestlers that then pro wrestling companies can come and go, hey, NIL, pal, or whatever, and they can develop these people. And hopefully they're good, like unlike Chad Gable, not Chad Gable, rather Gable Steveson. Shout out El Grande Americano, allegedly Chad Gable, who's tremendous in the ring. I meant to say Gable Steveson, but you guys get the gist of what I'm saying there. So I'm all for this, brother. Official Mayu Iwatani has joined Merryold after leaving Stardom, so it's likely that she will go to Merryold and then eventually go to WWE. I mean, that's one of their partners there. JBL said if not Vince McMahon, he says he'd work for Eric Bischoff over Tony Khan or Dixie Carter. So Jeff Cobb, I just bookmarked his retirement tweet there. So here's Alfred Konuwa talking with Hulk Hogan, I believe. This is him talking to Hulk Hogan, brother. I believe, I got to reach out to him, or I should check his channel, I guess. I've been so busy. Caught up in my own shit. But Hulk Hogan's nickname for Brock Lesnar was what? And it's Hogan just fibbing here. He's just telling hella lies here again.
Yeah, well, I remember when Brock Lesnar first came to the WWE, I got him first, and it was no picnic, believe me. And so I wrestled him probably 10 or 12 times. And I mean, I remember being in Madison Square Garden. The only way I could get him to lighten up on me at all, I would say, "Okay, broccoli."
Okay, broccoli, dude. He's hammered on all American beers, dude.
I call him
real American beers, whatever they're called.
Broccoli instead of Brock Lesnar. So if you keep doing this crap, you're going to end up in here by yourself. You know. So finally, I got him just kind of like go with the flow, which is what we did back then. But I saw his personality develop. I saw him be able to just shoot in there like a monster and grab a single leg, take a guy down, ride him like a government mule, and then at the same time turn into this crazy over-the-top entertaining character. And what we called in the wrestling business a good worker, where you could work with a guy every night and he wouldn't break your neck or cripple you. And when I first got him, he was not like that. You know, he was like a freight train running over you. So, yeah, well,
yeah, you know, Hogan, he worked with Brock like before Brock went to UFC, like a few years or a couple years before, right? But it's or like I think he went to like New Japan, then NFL, then UFC, you know, so it was a while before, like 3-4 years. But yeah, Hogan's just, I don't know, still selling the game. I mean, you have people who will just believe it, and then we all tweet about it. Can you believe he's lying again and telling lies? He doesn't give a shit. So again, I mean, he just looks like he's drunk too. I'm not gonna lie, allegedly. Right? So here's grapple clips. What the? And here's people have asked, I think people have tweeted this to Jim Cornette before and been like, what do you think about this? And use this to try and defend like AEW and shit. Which is totally fine. But yeah, let's watch this and let me know what you think about this. Right?
And from bouncing Burns to these wrestlers from France who really are up in the air. Called Lunar Wrestling 2000, it was presented for the first time at the Palace of Sport in Saint-Ouen.
So here's the thing. They're using these trampolines or these like moon bounce things to like get into the ring. Right? But then they go in there and they're hitting like suplexes and shit. So it's like, all right, they just had a cool, they all Sin Cara it into the ring or what? Like, I don't know. This is pretty fucking dumb, but it was just a cool way to get in the ring, you know? I don't know about the work. Let's look at the work if they do anything silly. Oh, so it's like it's like Rey Mysterio's entrance.
It provides ideal spectator sport, and providing you get high enough, it saves having to scramble through.
I mean, here's the thing. That could almost be like a stipulation. I wouldn't want to watch it, but a stipulation where it's like, hey, the ring's surrounded by launch pads or something. I don't know. The work ain't bad, like in the ring.
The wrestlers are projected into the ring by a springboard powered by compressed air. Wrestling was well underway 5,000 years ago. It's obviously catching on by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't like shooting off that thing into Poison Rana's, you know, to the outside doomsday drop kick. Everyone lands on their feet and super kicks each other, you know? So I get it. Now, that must have took such a toll on these guys' bodies to have to land like that in the fucking ring and shit. Like, come on, man. That's crazy. That must have just damaged their knees and shit. Oh, my goodness. Here's Hulk Hogan cutting a promo, brother. He says if he was leading the pack, 100 men would easily defeat one gorilla. Now, guys, we got to be real here. 100 men would beat one gorilla. Some of the dudes would die, right? But 100 men would take out one gorilla, 100%. Anyways, though, let's hear what Hogan has to say.
Who would win a fight, 100 men versus one gorilla?
Well, you know, if you're asking Hulk Hogan who's going to win the fight, 100 men or one gorilla, it depends on where the men are from. If they're from New York City, brother,
the gorilla doesn't have a chance because I'd be leading the pack. Boom, shaka, laka, 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 boom.
Who would win the fight? 100 men.
Oh, man. Hogan's off his shit. He's just leaning into it, as the kids say. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was miscellaneous news. So, despite only appearing via video earlier in the show, Trick Williams showed up at the end of TNA and laid out Hendry.
To Joe Hendry.
So he's heel there. They got the right thing going on. Like in TNA, you want the NXT guys to be heels. And then in NXT, you want the TNA guys to be heels, like for the most part, you know. Joe Hendry's an outlier. He's an exception. He's just beloved everywhere. So obviously you just lean into that. But yeah, you just play into that. And that's the way to do it for sure, because it just creates more interest and more of like a rivalry. Because the going to war and the poking and the rivalry is good for business at the end of the day, you know, for everybody.
I'll be here a long time. I'm gonna take that video from you. What? Can Joe Hendry was.
So moving along here, Indy Hartwell. So talent were released. Here's Indy. She wasted no time in like having a couple big matches, you know, one against Mercedes Moné, etc. Won a title, I think, in Australia. And then she signed right up with Impact Wrestling. A tremendous move for her. You know, Tessa Blanchard's going to need some talent, and TNA know how to book a goddamn tag division properly. So we're going to need some more tag teams. So Indy and Steph reuniting could be really good, because we never saw that play out fully in WWE, like in NXT, if you guys were tapped in way back then. But also maybe a feud between them, and then also Tessa and each challengers. And yeah, I would definitely, I was rooting this on. I was like, Indy needs to go to TNA, and I hope some of these other talent who got released find their way here too. But some of them might be scared to do that because WWE's got their fingerprints on it, and we're going to talk about that.
That I'm not here to just be another woman on the roster. Things are about to get shaken up, because Indy Hartwell has officially crossed the line.
So she cut like a similar promo. I crossed the line, you know, she's going to have a match sooner or later. Savannah Evans announced she's finished up with TNA and is currently a free agent. I know a lot of people are like, Savannah Hoovens, but she was on quite a bit. And yeah, the people, I think her other partners like dipped out. I think she was with Giselle Shaw as well. So she might show up in Maple Leaf Pro, if I had to guess, before anything else. But yeah, someone to keep eyes on, right? Like she's like I would say an NXT level, an LFG level person kind of being released out there into the wild. But speaking of returns, Mr. Stone shows up on TNA with Vix Crow, Alicia Fox, who does follow PWT, believe it or not, on IG, and has made stories like listening to PWT right now and shit. And I'm not even joking. So Foxy's here, Vix Crow, with here on TNA, and I guess she's like making an in-ring return and shit. So good for her.
Of life, another opportunity. I mean, the guy's contract is up. Let me start over. My name is Robert Stone, and you, Santino, are officially under review. I mean, look what you've done with this place. It's like the wild, wild west.
Dude, this is amazing. We're at Santino Marella, and then there's going to be a power struggle of Robert Stone coming over from NXT. And like, dude, I used to be here, but this is trash. I'm going to take over type shit. This will be good stuff. TNA's cooking, man. They've been cooking.
There's favoritism. There's nepotism. TNA needs a leader. TNA needs someone with a history here. Someone with a vision. TNA needs Robert Stone. And just to let you know, the higher-ups have put me in charge to watch every step you take, every move you make fucking believe me.
They're chanting, "Who are you?" Yeah, so I don't know. There's like a power struggle. They're leaning into it, pal. Jodie Threat trademarked the Wild Child and Jodie Threat. So does that mean she's gearing up to leave TNA and do her own thing? I don't know if they own that whole thing. I think that's her own name from the indies, and then but they might own like Spitfire though or something, and maybe that's because sometimes when you see wrestlers all of a sudden they're like trademarking shit and you're like, why? And it's because sometimes behind the scenes, and I'm not saying this is the case, but it's like, oh, they might be gearing up to leave, and then TNA's like, well, you can't be called Spitfire, and then they're like, oh shit. But I don't think they're leaving. I don't know why they would. But TNA is no longer allowing use of excessive blood or blading. Now, some people might be like, well, that's a good thing. But the thing with TNA is what made it fun, or like, I'm sure they'll still do it, excessive, right? So it doesn't mean they can't blade or bleed or whatever. But, you know, out of nowhere, you might get a flaming table or something wild in TNA where you don't really see all the time. Like in AEW, you see this type of shit all the time. In WWE, you don't really see it all the time, or like other places. So TNA will once in a while, like if you follow their show, they just typically focus on matches, right? Like standard matches, but then you'll get like a crazy TLC with the Hardys or whatever. And then, yes, they have Ultimate X, and they've tried all these match types, but every week you're not getting complete chaos, you know? And so once in a while, you'll get like one of these super bloody ass matches or whatever, but they explicitly say it does have to do with their partnerships and stuff. So TNA has banned excessive blood and blading during matches. Like they flat out banned blading though. So if you are a guy, like let's say you're a veteran in there, I don't know, Nick Nemeth, and you're like, I need to blade in this match, like to get Joe Hendry over or whatever. You're not allowed to make that call in TNA now. So getting a little tight. Butthole's getting a little tight over there over WWE. That's all I'm saying. TNA officials informed talent of the news in a meeting today. The decision was made to protect the health of the talents, right? Which is fair. That's super fair. As well as keeping current and potential advertisers and partners in mind. So they're gearing up, man. They're trying to clean it up to be like, we present a product that da-da-da. They're swooping in. They're trying to get a TV deal. Good for TNA. This is only good for the business. However, I will say, God damn it, they found their identity. We don't want them becoming... They really found out how to do sports entertainment well, and some people go, well, that's WWE Light, but we really don't want them becoming like full-blown WWE Light. You know what I mean? But we do want this invasion stuff. And so if this is how we get there, and if this gets TNA on bigger platforms and we get a real number 3, or, I mean, not even a number 3, they would, everybody's alleging that they would likely sell to WWE as well. I mean, I don't know about that. I'm not in the fucking business meetings. Who knows? But they're working with them. So whether they sell or not, it's all, as far as Anthem's concerned. Like, would you be shocked if Endeavor like absorbed Anthem or something one day? Even like just as a whole, like I wouldn't, you know? Yeah, it's interesting. But there was a dog collar match tape this week between Steve Macklin and Eric Young. That will be TNA's last match to feature excessive blood, at least for now. It was noted that sometimes accidental or hard way blood will happen and is understandable, but purposeful, heavy bloodletting is now fully banned. So I don't know. Is that an L, chat? You guys let me know if that's an L. And then Rikishi blasted Leon Slater, TNA spot mishap. Shame on those guys. Man, it was wild to see. Like, Leon Slater does that 450 swanton. Or the 450 swanton in the Ultimate X match. We played it here on the show. He splats on the ring. There's 12 guys standing there. Nobody catches him. You had one guy go, you're right, this was inexcusable. And that was Sidney Akeem. Shout him out. Reginald. Okay, Scripps. Shout him out, man. I fucking love that dude. I've played highlights of his shit on this show too. Because yes, he's a flippy guy, but he's so goddamn good at it where it's like, let him go off. You know, that's the one guy. If you're going to have a guy who can do that shit, you have him do it on your roster, and you have a whatever. That's my guy. I'm just running with him. He does crazy shit, man. And just impressive the way he's able to do it. There's like a smoothness to it. Anyways, I don't need to get into that. But Scripps was like, he tweeted out like, you guys are all right. This is inexcusable. Like, we fucked up, you know, tried to get there, messed up. Shit happens, you know, I fucked up. Everyone else, and I'm not going to call out names and shit. And AJ Francis, if you look, there's an angle of the footage where literally AJ Francis saved this dude's life. One arm catches the guy last second. If anybody's going to get defensive, I mean, I guess I'll give him, but he wasn't even really being defensive. He was just saying like, look, dude, I caught the guy. You know, like, come on. But everybody else was just coping for like 2 days on Twitter, man. And I'm not going to go through all the wrestlers' copes, but it was like, come on, man. Like, all you guys saw, you got everyone but Sydney, and I guess AJ was just pointing out, well, look, I caught him, you know? Like, I'm the motherfucker who saved him. Rikishi blasted everybody. He didn't blast Leon Slater, but it looks that way in this title. But he blasted Leon Slater's TNA spot mishap. Shame on those guys. So shame on all the guys involved, which is pretty harsh. But the cope was real over that. I don't know if you guys saw that, you know? It's kind of disappointing. It was like, you guys just take responsibility. Like, you got to catch them, you know, got to catch them all, right? You have to do it. It's on you at that point. It's on that dude. Okay, if he wants to do that move, great. But once you go, yeah, do that move, and you all agree they can do it, and then he goes, okay, I'm going to do it. Once he hurls his body in the air and shit, that's all on you guys. You know what I mean? Like, that's where now the trust reverts to you motherfuckers. You all got to catch them, period. And it was a weird thing there where a lot of people were trying to not take accountability for that shit. It was kind of stressful.